hello, and welcome. This week we have the message from our visiting guest speaker, Patrick from London City Mission. Patrick takes us into a look of Matthew chapter 28 and the making of disciples. As a last request, I'm interested to know how you found this podcast. Was it via the church's website, our YouTube channel, the podcast playlist, or a Facebook post? Thanks in advance. God bless. See you next time.
You know how certain words just get so overused they completely lose their edge? Like you call a coworker a friend just because you tolerate them in a weekly meeting, and suddenly the word just loses all its weight.
Oh yeah, I mean, it becomes totally passive. And that actually happens to ancient texts constantly. So for today's deep dive, we're stripping away that linguistic buildup from Matthew 28.
Right, because we really want to look at the massive gap between simply holding a religious belief in your head and the radical physical demand of actually functioning as a disciple.
Exactly. Which requires us to tear down some definitions we probably thought were completely settled.
Yeah, like the word church, right?
Yeah.
We default to picturing a brick building with a steeple. But if you look at the original Greek concept, ecclesia, it literally just means the assembled people.
Yeah, and there's a really brilliant distinction to make there between the gathered community on Sunday and the scattered community.
Oh, the scattered part is what usually gets lost.
Totally. I mean, you are the ecclesia sitting at your desk on a random Tuesday. It's inherently portable.
Which is fascinating because that portability totally changes the definition of a disciple too. Like if the church is scattered and moving, a disciple has to be moving.
Yeah, you can't just be standing still.
Right. It makes me think of learning to drive. You don't become a driver by sitting on your couch highlighting a DMV manual. You have to actually get behind the wheel, usually terrified, with an instructor right there in the passenger seat.
That physical apprenticeship is, that's the perfect way to look at it. Faith moves from this state of static knowledge into continuous action.
Okay, but I want to push on that driver's ed analogy for a second. If we look at the end of Matthew, Jesus claims all authority in heaven and on earth.
Right. The ultimate authority.
Yeah, he's walking on water, raising the dead. If he has the ultimate driving skills, why hand the keys over to a dozen unlearned, wildly flawed guys? I mean, why not just execute the mission himself?
Well, that is the core theological tension, isn't it? Like, why delegate divine work at all? The answer actually points all the way back to the creation narrative in Genesis. When God says, "Let us make mankind," there's a direct linguistic and thematic line to the command in Matthew 28 to go and make disciples.
Wait, so it's a deliberate echo?
Oh, absolutely. It isn't about a deity lacking capability or, needing to outsource labor. It reveals this fundamental desire for co-partners. The divine design actually requires human participation to be complete.
Wow. So we are hardwired to be active participants, not just an audience.
Precisely. And there's a deeply rooted Jewish historical concept at play here, too. The idea that true understanding is physically impossible without action.
So you can't just comprehend the theology by reading it.
No, not at all. The actual mechanism of understanding happens through the doing. The physical action is literally what internalizes the truth.
That makes so much sense out of an incredible story from Papua New Guinea we came across while prepping for this.
Oh, yeah, the 1988 story.
Yeah. There was this mentor, Pastor Fina, working with young men. And he didn't just stand at a whiteboard and lecture them. He basically forced them into the active, repetitive doing of internalizing scripture.
Because Pastor Fina understood that rote knowledge just evaporates.
Right, it doesn't stick.
Exactly. By forcing them to actively memorize and apply those texts, he was helping them forge an internal moral compass.
Which is so different from how we operate today.
Oh, night and day. I mean, we just passively consume information now, endlessly scrolling through things like TikTok for quick hit of meaning.
Yeah, dopamine hit.
Right. And you see the danger of the drift there. Because without that internalized compass built through action, you just float.
You're basically just reading the driving manual while the car is actively rolling down a hill.
That is a terrifying image, but very accurate.
But the reassuring part of this active scattered partnership is the framing of Matthew itself, right? The whole account is bracketed by the concept of Emmanuel, which means God with us.
Yeah, it starts with Emmanuel in chapter 1 and finishes with that exact same promise in chapter 28. The demand to go and act is massive, but you aren't expected to do the apprenticeship alone.
The instructor stays in the passenger seat.
Always.
Which leaves us with a question for you to chew on today. If it's fundamentally true that deep comprehension only arrives after we take action, well, what is a subject in your own life where you have consumed endless amounts of information, but you still need to put the car in drive to actually understand it?